Interview with
Perfect.
Bedjy. Is that how you pronounce it?
Bedjy, ouais.
Bedjy. Okay, yeah. But of course, first, got to thank all my patrons and Baron of Dice and Wyberry and everything else. But so let's get into this. So did you place fourth at Worlds? Was that right? Did you go 6-0? If I am I remembering this correctly?
Yes, 6-0 and sadly lost by 2 games of the Sunday.
Right, because if you had scored a little better, you would have gone to. I can't remember exactly how it
Finals.
works, but you would have got a final seventh game, right?
Yep.
And you played for. This is for Team France.
Yep.
Awesome. So I have your list here up on screen. So it was you were playing the Lightfinger, of course. Did you ever have any thoughts or about not playing Lightfinger? Did you think about playing another subfaction at all, or is it?
I've tried at the beginning months ago. I've tried some other subfaction, but once I've tried Lightfinger, I think it's required for Kruleboyz to stabilize the randomness.
Right. So it's like a re-roll on sneak, sort of. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We have to. It can do better, but it's at least some kind of reward.
Yes. 2 drops. Laura the Swamp, obviously. Primal Energy. We have Kragnos with a reinforced unit of Gut Rippers, a unit of Monster Killers, a reinforced unit of Boltboyz, and a Marsh Crawler Sloggoth. And then in Regiment 2, we have a Swamp Collar Shaman with Potgrot with the Swamp Staff, and Slippery Scumbag. Interesting, because I guess there wasn't a lot of really good choices here, hey?
Yeah.
So it's because, like, what you can't put anything on Kragnos. So it's Slippery Scumbag is whatever. If somebody connects with the Swamp Collar on a 3-up, you get to run away, right? So it just helps keep them alive a little bit, but that's fine. And then another unit of Monster Killers. So 2 units of Monster Killers overall. Another reinforced unit of Boltboyz, and then a squad of 3 Boltboyz. So it's 2 times 6 Boltboyz, and then another 3 Boltboyz. What did you... And you're exactly at 2,000 points. If you had 10 more points, would you have made those Boltboyz into another unit of Monster Killers? Or is having that... Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So it's just a points cost. And did you think ever about, instead of having those 3 Boltboyz, about having Hobgrots instead? Was that ever a thought for you?
I would say no.
Because Hobgrots are just bad.
I think Upgrades doesn't fill the hole for me. The advantage of the 3 Boltboyz is that they can fit when teleporting them. They can fit in really small areas, and also you get to add 4 long range shots, which is quite good, in fact, because I don't need them to move or anything. So 4 more shots, 2s and 3s, -2, damage 2. It's quite good.
And you were telling me
okay.
You were telling me before that most of the time you picked the Marshcrawler Sloggoth to be a bodyguard in this list.
Yes.
And I see why, because the Marshcrawler never really has to charge. He has a nice big base, so he can cover for Kragnos relatively well. And I totally see that. And when I've played Kragnos in Ironjaws, I have taken Bodyguard often, just because of how important it is to keep Kragnos alive, right?
Yes.
And then you picked Primal Energy as your manifestation lore. Was this a close decision? Like, was there any... Like, why did you end up on Primal Energy? Were you considering any other manifestation lores?
I've considered some other manifestation laws, but I think keeping Kragnos alive is such an important thing that the balance between him alive and dead is
right.
So slim, as would say. When every life points he gains is like really, really important. And healing him after him being hit is quite mandatory, I think.
Because he has that 5-up ward, right? So every point of healing is functionally more than just 1 or 2 points. And like I had a game where I was playing Kragnos and he got down, he had like 2 wounds, 2 health left. But I had killed everything he was fighting with. And so then over 2 turns he just healed, I rallied him, right? He healed back quite a bit and then was able to, go and fight again, right? Fight on another part of the table. So if you weren't going to take... Because I remember that we were talking a little bit before, and I asked, like, when would you not take Bodyguard on Marshcrawler? You said that most of the time you take it. So if you weren't going to take the Bodyguard on Marshcrawler, which would you take, and when would you take it?
I think when I won't play Bodyguard on Marshcrawler is when my opponent is has a shooting heavy list and it doesn't rely on melee.
So Skaven, let's say, right? Rattling gun Skaven.
You can have your my Skaven match in when I reached the Saturday, when I reached the top 16, my first match was against Skaven list that had so many shooting and quite a few melee attacks. So I didn't want him to get an edge +1 shooting at my Marshcrawler.
Yeah.
So I didn't take it.
What did you take instead?
I took nothing instead.
Nothing? I'm surprised that you didn't take priority target on the reinforced unit of Boltboyz.
Because he had to choose first his thing and just use the Bodyguard with a regiment of clan rats.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I wanted to I wanted that term to
si tu cherches des mots, si tu cherches des mots en anglais, tu peux même me demander en français, je peux le traduire assez facilement. Et j'ai aussi dit quelques personnes dans mon Discord que je vais parler un peu de français aussi, alors.
Ok, ça va.
But yeah, that's like I'm still. It's interesting to me that that you're playing Kragnos.
I had to pick. I had to pick first. No, sorry, I had to pick first. Alors, je me suis un peu embrouillé. Donc, si tu peux me répéter la question, je peux repartir de là.
It was if you weren't gonna take Bodyguard, what would you take instead?
Yes. So, in some case, I just took nothing. For example, against the Skaven player, I just choose. I had to choose first, and I choose to take nothing. So that he won't have an edge at shooting at my.
Oh, I see. Right, because it's not that you choose; it's that there is no honor guard. Right?
Yes.
And so then there's no... He doesn't get a bonus for shooting at your honor guard because there isn't one. I understand. Yes. It's not that... Right. Because in my mind, I was like, why would you not pick one? But that makes sense to me. It's like there is no honor guard. So there is nothing that you have that... Like there is no bonus for priority target unless it's at Kragnos, I guess. Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense to me.
That's it.
Okay. And since... So can you tell me how like you play Kragnos? Because I think this is something that a lot of players have a hard time with, is like when Kragnos should go in, when should he stay back, right? What should he fight? When should he fight? What round should he fight? So could you give me like an idea of how you're playing Kragnos over the course of a game against different opponents?
I will answer the question about Kragnos specifically just a little later, but I will start talking about how I play my army first.
Yes, sure.
In fact, that's why I played the Marsh Crawler too, and that I saw that that was such a question.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm using the threat range rather than actual range. I'm more interested in my opponent thinking I can charge anything with all my stuff than actually doing it.
Very Kruleboyz.
Score my point. Yes. Since if I can score my points and do my game and take an edge because I can deny my opponent tactics, I don't need to go all in. I don't need to fight because I will win, because I will deny him tactics.
Right, because he's afraid to, take the flanks or take their land, right? He's afraid to spread out and leave things open because you can get everywhere.
I can get everywhere, and I can get everywhere with such a powerhouse like that is Kragnos.
Yeah.
That my opponent will play defensively,
which is perfect.
Yes, but we have to know that once Kragnos has charged, he's in melee and he's not a threat anymore. He will kill stuff, but he might not be able to kill everything in melee, so the opponent will have his turn and Kragnos is in melee. He didn't kill his last target, so he's not free. So he cannot countercharge. He cannot maybe, or if I got the double turn, I'm not in the position to charge anything anymore.
Right. So it's more, and it's such a brilliant, I was shocked when I saw this list on the table, because I was convinced that for Kruleboyz that Kragnos was not going to be a good unit in Kruleboyz. I would always say it's not really what we're trying to do, and if you take Kragnos, you're not gonna have room for a Sludge Raker or a Vulture, right? Nothing like this. And in Iron Jaws, Kragnos makes a lot of sense. It's we're a slow army, and so we have a 3d6 charge, and we're trying to be aggressive. We're trying to throw our units at the opponent. But I always thought that Kruleboyz was supposed to be, more sneaky and teleporting and shooting. Well, not really shooting so much, right? But the idea that Kragnos is on the table and a Marsh Crawler is right beside it, and we're just scaring our opponent into playing our game, right? We are controlling the pace of the game. It's quite wonderful. So so no Sludge Raker and no Vulture of any kind. No. Do you miss them? No. Do you miss playing with those units?
I've played with the Vulture. I've done quite a few games with Kragnos on the Vulture. I've enjoyed it. It was really fun. I had a lot of fun playing this because it can do so many things.
3d6 Vulture charge is crazy. Yeah.
Yes. But the Vulture is flying, so he cannot hide himself. And also, he's quite a bit vulnerable to the shooting.
Yes.
He's quite weak against that.
Yeah.
And it makes me take 3 drops. And I definitely wanted to get down to 2 drops.
Yes.
For this tournament and for my Kruleboyz in general. And the Swamp Shaman is mandatory.
Yes,
so
yes.
Kragnos and Swamp Shaman made the cut. And also the bird has this 3+ fly away, not reliable. It made a game so much different to another game if I succeed or fail this 3+.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Absolutely.
Yes.
And with
For
Kruleboyz, there's so many roles,
Mhm.
right? Like with all the tricks. So removing some of that randomness is nice.
Mm.
It's my favorite word in French,
There
by
is
the way.
already a lot of randomness, but it actually does work before we choose to pull the trigger. If I succeed this thing, I can charge. If I don't, I will do something else. But the bird was played like I go, I charge, I do my stuff, and hope then that something goes in my favor.
And no Sludge Raker either. Do you miss the Sludge Raker?
The Sludge Raker is. I was trying to explain this that I find it strong because it can give us a lot of power.
Yeah,
So
a lot.
a lot of damage.
A lot of mortal wounds.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I think it's a trap for the playstyle I aim, as I described a bit earlier. Since if I get all my bonuses on my unit, I will have to charge with it.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Right, you get both. You get your venom encrusted weapons, you get your Sludge Raker, and you're like excited, right? You're like, let's go, right?
Yes, but it's not the gameplay I want. I want to be to take my decision, and I want every one of my unit to be on its own. And the Sludge Raker is like very good at the starting to begin the game with, but once everything is messy on the board and my units are everywhere and something died and something leave and everything, he becomes quite not useless but efficient.
Yeah, sure. Did you think about playing a kill bow?
Yes, but same problem for that. For the monster killers, if I had the points, maybe I would have.
So you would rather have 2 units of 6 Boltboyz than have like one of them be a kill bow? Because I mean a kill bow is how much? 160 points.
Yes.
Right? So then you would save 60 points in the list. So you could do like, I mean, I'm just thinking for players at home because I get a lot of questions and I get a lot of about players who don't have certain models, right? Or players, like I get questions about like, well, how would I put a kill bow in this list? Right, because some players just love them and will play them all the time. But for you, you would rather have, because if I'm looking at the list, if you take a Boltboyz and turn him into a kill bow, you save yourself 60 points, and so you end up with 6 Boltboyz, 1 kill bow, and then another unit of monster killers. But you didn't like the kill bow, like it wasn't really a consideration for you.
It's not that I don't like it. It's about how I play the army again. The kill bow is very not mobile. You can't teleport it.
Yes.
Yeah, it would fit, I think, in an army that will want to castle. What I mean by this is an army that you will want to have everything of every one of your buffs at the same place, so you can put everything out, and the killbow will be behind this and will be able to shoot without being threatened by anything. But that's not how I played my army. That's not how I played. Oh, I'd say most of the time my models were anywhere on the field. They were not like waiting for something. Sometimes I just exchange the deployment zone with my opponent, going from the left and leaving my opponent on the right. So I could sleep and avoid its main threat.
How would you normally deploy? Like, what's a normal deployment for you?
I think I got a photo that I can show you. I'm not sure that can work in a.
Yeah. Oh, I think is this one the I think I got it actually right here. You posted it in Discord, right? It's you against, it looks like Night Haunt.
Generally, I will have my Guthrie Pass in the middle because I want to be able to move to run them like 11 and charge 3d6.
Yeah.
So that I can have them be in the opponent's line for 1, 2, 3 turns.
So that's a normal play for you, is throw the Gut Rippers right up the center at your opponent right away, turn 1?
That can be if my opponent doesn't have his armor at the same place.
Right.
If he's very conservative about his pieces, I will do this so that he will have a lot of difficulties to go for the primary.
Yeah.
And since I will have the edge on the secondary, whatever he does, he will have a hard time to get back in the game.
And then the Monster Killers and the Boltboyz are just sort of spread out around the outside. And because I mean,
yes.
So tell me if this is true. When I'm playing Kruleboyz, a lot like my Boltboyz, my Monster Killers, I will just put them in positions to like just screen and zone out my opponent. So if it's, for example, if I'm playing Stormcast Eternals, I just want to put them in positions to make sure that nothing can deep strike in. And that's it, right? Because I can just sneak them away later. It doesn't matter where I put them early, right?
Exactly.
And if I'm playing against a Kragnos, then I'll use them just as screens. I'll just put them in the way, and then I'll just sneak them away later. Then that's about right? That's about the same way that you play it?
Yes.
So it's Kragnos and Gut Rippers in the middle, right? Marsh Crawler behind or beside Kragnos, and then everything else just spread out around the outside.
That looks like this, yes.
It sounds awesome. And what do you drop first? Do you put Kragnos down first, or do you put the Swamp Caller down first?
Depends. If I get to deploy first, anyway, most of my opponents just drop one unit and will deploy the rest after. They split the regiment, so I will put everything, almost everything at the same time. And if I get to go second, I will split my regiment, and so I don't have many information.
So that's if your opponent is a 2-drop as well.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of players I don't think even know you can do that, let alone actually do that in games. So sorry. So let's say that just so that my audience understands. So if you're a 2-drop and your opponent is 2-drop and your opponent is dropping first, then you'll just put down like 1 unit of Monster Killers over on the side, and then it's their turn, right? But if you're going, if you're 2-drops and your opponent is also 2-drops, and you're dropping first, you're probably going to put down the Swamp Caller Regiment first.
Yes.
And then the Kragnos Regiment
yes, because
second.
Yes, because the Swamp Color makes my +1 save bubble, and I will put it I will want to have whether the Guthrie Pass or Kragnos in the 12-inch, and most of the time I'll just put the +1 save on the Guthrie Pass,
Yeah.
and that's it.
And do you do both? Like, when you say the +1 safe, you don't mean the spell. You mean the ability, right? From the
I
Swamp
mean the
Color?
spell.
Oh,
I,
so,
I mean
okay.
I put the spell on the Guthrie Pass
And what about the his
most of the
ability?
time.
Do you do that as well?
If I want to run in, I will do it on the Guthrie Pass. But if I don't want to run in, I will do it on some monster killers.
Okay.
With you will find it very very sneaky. Uh, I got the hope to fail, kill a model, so that the unit of monster killers just becomes 6
Okay.
and becomes
Yeah.
and becomes a lot easier to set up.
Right, because you can now. Right, because when you sneak it, you can put him in a straight line.
Yes,
That's
because
pretty.
I
That's
don't I'm
pretty
not
sneaky.
I don't have currency
Yeah.
problems
It's
anymore.
funny. I just imagine the orcs being like, "Okay, Blads, we can't all fit there. Like, who's going? Who's gonna jump off the bridge? Right? We only got room for 6 guys." It's like, fuck.
I'll go.
I know you don't. I know it's not. I know it's not the same word in, France French, but tabarnak, right? That's a good. It's a good French Canadian curse. Oh, that's it.
That can work in French.
Yeah. Does it? Is it the same en France? C'est la même chose. Yeah. But that's fun.
Je sais
That's
pas.
good.
Je sais pas si je le traduis.
Cool. So let's see. I mean, so can you, what battle tactics are you normally taking, and in what order are you, like, what's a normal battle tactic game for you?
The problem, the real problem with my list is the first turn battle tactic if I'm going first.
Excellent. Tell me
Uh,
more.
because I don't have the fast unit to make it easy on the flanks.
Correct.
So I will most of the time go for the take the center.
Okay.
And I will set up like the three shooting guys, and the Guthrie Pass, and the Marsh Crawler, so that I can run with everything, and be sure to have at least one unit, not do a one.
And this is, of
Because
course,
if
sorry, carry on.
if the Guthrie Pass or the Boltboyz do a one at running, they can't reach the center.
Correct.
So I will have the Marsh Crawler here to save the day.
Because he moves a little bit faster.
Yes, because he's sync shift move. So with a one, he can reach the 3 inches from the center.
And I assume that when you get to choose, you always choose to go second, right?
Yes.
And then,
yes,
okay.
Because the army is quite frail.
Yeah.
And as I said, I'm counting a lot on the threat range. I'm counting a lot on my opponent being afraid of coming in the threat range of my everything, because of Kragnos, because of the run and charge, because of the shooting. I could, if my opponent push one unit in the center, whatever this unit is, it shall die.
It will die. Yes, it absolutely will die. Yeah.
Because I can have it strike last.
Yeah.
And put an attack with everything on it.
Yep. Lots of shooting, right? Lots of shots in it too.
some shots, but also some mortal wounds by monster killers and gut rippers and Kragnos.
Yeah, I mean,
Most
there's a lot
probably.
of damage in the list, right?
It doesn't look like so, because as people say, I don't have the sludge wrecker and I don't
Yeah, but
maximize my damage. But there's quite a few games that when even if I played quite defensively, that I had my opponent tabled because I was like a bit precise in the way of removing my opponent's unit.
yes, sneaking, shooting, yeah, lots charging things
Yes.
into when they need to be. And then also, one thing that I'm sure everyone knows already is that if you can sneak like a unit of monster killers within that 12-inch range of Kragnos, being sneaking and then charging is way more
Yes.
reliable. Way more reliable,
Yes. Way,
right?
way more
Yeah, 9 inches
reliable.
with an average of 10 inches on the dice, right? Like way more
Yep.
reliable. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's fantastic. So what
It's
other
very
battle
funny.
tactics are you doing? Like let's say that so at Worlds, how
So,
many times did you play somebody that had 2 drops? Like what how of your games,
um,
like were a lot of people trying to be 2 drops or were most people 3?
all my games but one.
All your games but one were 2 where your opponent was 2 drops?
Yes.
Oh, right. So that's like a Worlds thing where everybody wants to be 2 drops, right?
I think yes.
Okay.
Um, I've been on those 8 games. I had one opponent with 3 drops, so that there are 7 left. And on the 7, I think I had the initiative for 5 of them. So I had an edge on this dice.
Sure.
That helped me a lot
Well, part of
because,
getting 6-0 in a dice game is getting a little lucky,
of
right?
course,
You need some
yes,
luck
of
if you
course,
want to go 6-0. You need some luck,
uh,
especially with
well,
Kruleboyz.
especially with Kruleboyz.
Yeah.
And we have to know that Kruleboyz is like a cool a cool army to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fun and effective, but
Yes.
it doesn't have the weapon of the other faction. So even if we got a good plan and quite a good match and everything, we have to be better than our opponent, because his army is more reliable,
Yeah.
does more damage, is more tanky, and
Yes.
everything.
Kruleboyz, like, I don't know if it's the most skill-intensive army in the game, but I think it's close, right? Like maybe top
Yes,
5 most skill-intensive armies in the game.
yes, I'd say so.
Yeah. And that's part of why people like it so much, right? Players like me, it's like I like the most complicated, right? The most
I
skill
love that.
intensive, because when you win and because you played really smart and really well, it's a very good feeling, right? It's not like,
Hmm.
oh, I won because I'm playing, Night Haunt and my army is just stupidly good, right? It's like, oh, I'm playing like I
Yes,
beat you because I beat you. Like I beat you,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Of course, I was lucky. Of course, I had these dice, and of course, you failed your charge. But um, every one of my placement, every one of my decision was had to be
Perfect. Like,
more precise. Yes,
yeah.
more relevant. Because if I'm failing, if I'm taking a bad decision, I don't have the save roll, the ward roll, the 4+ that cannot be modified, save, and everything.
So
So
if you're
I have
going,
to take good decision.
you have to make perfect decisions. If you're playing, if your opponent is making you go first, you're taking seize the center, and then what other tactics are you
Yes.
taking after that?
After that, I would say, I'm mostly using the generic tactic that are quite easy for Kruleboyz overall. It's easy to take back some objectives because of Kragnos
Yep.
was 15. It's easy to take a terrain because
Yep.
I can go anywhere in my opponent deployment zone. It's easy to choose my fights because I can just disengage and teleport. So my unit that has one model left won't die because of a counter charge.
Yep.
So I can I can get my tactic done. But
Okay.
what's the most interesting thing about that is like messing with my opponent's tactics.
Yeah. Is that why
And
you save your command points for that mostly?
oh, I tend to be quite aggressive with my command points in my opponent's turn, and most of the time I will do my turn. My opponent has the first turn, I will spend like maybe 3 of my 4 points, keeping 1 for charge reward or something.
Sure.
Because during my opponent turn, it's here that I have to do most of the stuff.
Yes.
Like dirty tricks for the teleportation once, second time, or maybe it only worked once. But then redeploying a unit, so the teleport and the redeploy will make my opponent so I can't charge anything.
Yeah.
This is a win. This is a failed tactic. This is 4 points already.
Right. Okay. So just so that I understand, so if you're going first, it sees the center, and if you're not going 1st and for the rest of the game in either case, you're saying that battle tactics for Kruleboyz are easy enough that you don't really need a plan. You just need to take the battle tactic that's going to work for you in that turn because it's just super easy to do.
Yes.
Right, and that's I feel like a lot of players have had that experience as well, right? Where it's like actually kind of easy to score with Kruleboyz, right? And it's like you
Yes.
said with the and then because you're playing the Marsh Crawler, you can also redeploy and countercharge, right? Because you can run and charge, and then you can also redeploy and sneak away. But it's true, right, that Kragnos' 3d6 charge doesn't work on your opponent's turn, right? The 3d6 charge is only in our turn, correct?
We gained 100 points with that,
Yes.
with that decision.
Yeah, and so and I feel like that's like a good trade, I think, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because 100 Kragnos is very cheap right now at 500. He was 720, I think, in 3rd edition. Like he was a lot of points.
I'm not sure he's cheap. Maybe he will end up. Maybe he will end up like costing 600, but
Sure.
I'm not sure he will be a lot more because he's very fragile. He got
He is.
18 4 plus 5 plus. It's not.
It's fine, but for 580
Yes, I
points,
think
he's not.
fine.
Yeah, like it's fine, but he really, and I mean, what you, so you're keeping, your battle tactics are pretty easy. Your command points, you're spending them to try to deny your opponent's battle tactics with redeploys and countercharges and everything.
Countercharge.
Yeah,
Yes.
and then what Kragnos, I assume, what he really wants to do is he wants to charge into your opponent's monsters.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course, because this list has
This
a
is a
lot
great
of
game.
anti-monster tech. Yeah, so like a Gargant
Yes.
player would be a very easy matchup, right? What matchups are easy and which matchups are hard for this list?
I will say that matchup without shooting is it's easier because we can screen and teleport.
Yeah, and just dance around the board and shoot things
Yes,
and yeah, okay.
and shoot things and be far and have our opponent take bad decisions. Um, but I think it's more about the scenarios. When there is six objectives, we will be a lot more fine than when there will be only a few.
Right. So if you're playing shifting objectives, or right against Gloomspike gets Rock Guts, that's going to be a lot harder. Right.
Yes. Or my first game of the tournament, I was playing against Nighthound on shifting objective.
Right.
So
what do you do?
Luckily, I had my opponent play first. He came. He went into my models quite early. I had a few lost and everything, and then I chose to be quite aggressive with Kragnos and such, to not be too far behind with the primary. Kragnos' first charge of the tournament, my first attack, the impact was I did a 1, so 0 damage. And all out attacking, I did 0 damage too.
Really? Wow.
So I had quite a bad feeling for this.
No
for
kidding.
this
That's
game.
a bad start. Night Haunt, yeah, going second or yeah.
Start. Luckily, I had the double turn.
Okay.
That didn't do much in terms of damage, but I could set up my units so I could be quite safe on the objectives and making my opponent take bad decision again.
So do you try to put everything like on shifting objectives against like a Night Haunt or a Trolls player? Do you try to put like all of the damage into one spot? Right? Like, do you try to like shoot everything and hit everything on one of your opponent's units to try to just take it off the table? And focus on like one or two objectives?
So against this Night Hunt, I did attack most of his units to have them all be reduced, because I didn't want him to make some comeback. Right. So the only thing he could make comeback, yes, he could make comeback, was a unit of 5 X-rays. So 3 came back, but I was okay with that. It was not like 10 Blade Geist.
And how about, so I know that you're taking Primal Energy. So of all the manifestations and all the spells that you can cast, which are the most important for this list? And which ones are not very important? Like, what's your first spell that you cast?
The first spell is the +1 save, obviously.
So Mork's Cunning. So that's always your first spell, is Mork's Cunning.
Yes.
And either on the Gut Rippas or maybe on Monster Killers.
No, on Kragnos.
Oh, right. So so the Swamp Caller Shaman is just going to sort of follow Kragnos around a little bit, like maybe stay back and just try to give him +1 save the whole game? Or is it just turn 1?
You have to know that my Swamp Caller Shaman didn't die during the whole tournament.
Fantastic. What a guy.
What a guy. He scored me a bunch of tactics, and he didn't die. He was just like in his forest waiting for his time.
Yeah.
And sometimes he doesn't do anything because he's too far from anyone, but at least he has his spells, his manifestations going on the board.
Right, so you can always just throw out Jaws, let's say.
Yes.
Okay,
Jaws,
so
I will take Jaws for damage if I need damage against someone. for which against which I will need damage and that doesn't have a big save. I will have the healing manifestation.
Life Swarm. Okay.
Yeah, the life swarm. Sorry.
So it's very
Um,
defensive, right? You're like +1 save, healing, like that's kind of the focus.
Yeah, I used to play Magic a lot, and I was very oriented on control combo.
Like blue black.
Um, like yes, mostly I used to play Vintage, and so it was very explosive. But
Yeah.
when the game was controlled, and I kind of like that play style, being able to combo out, but being very controlling the pace of the game.
Yeah, because that's what Kruleboyz are. Like when I tried to describe Kruleboyz as they're blue black, right? It's like
Yes.
we're evil swamp orcs, but we're sneaky, we're tricky. It's right, and it's a control army, right? You want to
It's a
control the
control
pace of the
army.
game. You want to pull your opponent in different directions. You want to force them to make bad decisions. You have like these anti-monster. You have shooting. You have mortal. Like you have the answers to what your opponent is doing, right? It's very much a control army. I feel
Yes.
that's awesome.
I will explain. I will explain a little about the denying tactics.
Please
because
do.
I think tactics and the primary, because I think it's like the main focus for a Kruleboyz player if he wants to play it better. First thing is you have to know that if you got a unit and an objective, place it at the middle of the objective so that nobody can come on the objective without charging.
Yes. Which means, and
Be
when you sneak
careful.
away, yeah, you deny them
Yes.
that charge.
There's
yes.
nobody. So the opponent's unit will move, come close to you, and whether he shoots or wants to charge, whether he kill you, he will not be able to come on the objective because you will be out away at this moment.
Yeah.
He won't be able to charge, and then this is a primary that your opponent can score. What's important with this is that you have to keep your dirty tricks low if you want to aim for this kind of play. So during your turn, don't use your dirty tricks. So you will be able to teleport on the 2+.
Right. So everything
why-
is like your command points, your dirty tricks, the focus is always denying your opponent tactics or getting tactics for
Exactly.
yourself too, right? But like what you really want to do is try to score your tactics and get on the primary by using no dirty tricks and no command points. And then use them to deny primarily. Yeah, that's a good play.
If you know this, you have to be careful with your other units and with your manifestations, that your opponent doesn't have an out charging them to come on the objective.
Because of course
So
you can't
if you-
sneak away Jaws, yeah.
Yeah, you can't sneak away Jaws, and if the Jaws are like close, he will come close to whether your unit or the Jaws. You will teleport your unit, but he will charge the
Right, still
Jaws
get
and will have
Jaws.
a model on the objective, and it will be free for him. If you only have your unit on the objective, he won't be able to. But having the manifestation close, quite not too close, but close enough, will allow you on your turn to charge your opponent unit with a manifestation,
Yes.
so that he won't be able to counter charge. At this moment, you just set you set your unit on the objective again, charge the opponent unit with your manifestation. So he will kill the manifestation, and you will have to set up your manifestation so that with a pile-in, it cannot go on the objective. And he will kill your manifestation with his hammer. And then on his turn, he will be facing exactly the same thing. You will have a unit at the middle of the objective, and he won't be able to charge because you will leave.
And then you just do that. You can do that over and over and over again if you want to, really.
Yes, with some parameters in, but you can. And I had not during this tournament, but some other game, I had like Morghast and Kragnos being held in front of an objective, but without being able to take the objective back.
It's so dirty.
And Catacross. Sorry.
No, that's. I mean, that's exactly what Kruleboyz players want to do. Right. Yes. That's why we're playing this army, is so that we can make our opponents hate us. Mm-hmm. Right. When I first saw the Kruleboyz book, I told all my friends, I said, I'm really gonna enjoy playing Kruleboyz, and you're not going to enjoy playing me. and that's gonna make me happy. Right. I can't wait till I get a, hey, you want to play this weekend? Yeah, but can you not play Kruleboyz? Can you play something different? It's like, yeah, sure, I could play something different. That's okay. Or maybe I'll play a silly list, like I'll play 2 Vultures, or I'll play 2 Sludge Rakers or something, right? So, cool. Yeah, is there anything else? Sorry, continue.
What's cool with Kruleboyz is that you can play it and have fun with it, playing whatever in your list, not being like the tyrant I aim to be.
Yeah, sure. Because I personally think that will have fun. Yeah, I think that like a Gobsprack and a kill boss on a Vulture is not the best, but is still interesting, and it can still be a lot of fun. Yes. Or playing like 2 Sludge Rakers, and one of them being Scum Boss or Scumdrek with some Hobgrods. Like it can be fun, right? It's not like you're playing against a new player, or you're playing against a friend, or you're gonna just get drunk all night and you don't care, right? Like you can have a lot of fun. Right? I'm happy to see the Marsh Crawl on the table. It really does make me happy. I'm glad that you had such great success with it, and that I get to put it on the table tonight and play it, because I'm playing this exact list against a friend of mine tonight. God. Cool. Yeah, they hate me. I come in. I'm gonna go see this friend of mine tonight, Eric. I hope you're listening. But I get to go and just be like, oh yeah, like, so I'm gonna play this list, and I was talking to the guy that placed 4th in Worlds this morning, and he gave me a tutorial on how to play it. Right? He sat for an hour and answered all my questions, so I'm ready to go. Like, right? Like, none of my friends have none of them talk to the. Like, I'm talking to all kinds of awesome people, right? Like you and Aaron Newbaum, and I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting. Awesome. Jackie Day, another good Kruleboyz player, right? I'm sure I'm forgetting at least somebody. So sorry to the person I'm forgetting, right?
Yeah, at least you didn't forget me.
Yeah, at least I didn't forget you. Yeah, sure. So what do you think? So what do you think the future looks like? Like your list is exactly 2,000 points, and I'm sure that I and everybody else were expecting Monster-Killers to go up by a little bit. So if you had to, let's say that if Monster-Killers went up 10 points, how would you change this list?
I don't know, because I can't see the Guthrie Pass remain at 170 points.
You think they're going to come down?
I hope they will come down. I hope the Hobgrots will come down.
Yeah, they need to be so cheap. Yeah.
Yes, and the Marshcrawler will probably come down also.
So now that you did so well with it, it might not. You might be the guy that ruined it for the rest of us, right?
I think I ruined it for every Kruleboyz player. Everyone was saying, "Oh, Kruleboyz is so bad. They will they will be so up at the next battle scroll. And I'm so sorry for every one of you. But we had the chance to talk to the head designer of the
Yeah.
game at the World's Tournament.
You talked to him?
And I talked to him a little.
What did you say?
Obviously, I said how this tournament is so hard playing Kruleboyz and everything.
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't listen to me. Okay, he can because it was hard tournament.
Well, and also I think that an intelligent person will look and I always say that Kruleboyz is like a 4-1 army at best. Because you're gonna lose a game because you failed your dirty trick. It's gonna happen, and it's gonna happen one time in a tournament where your swamp calla dies. You fail a 2-up, you fail a 3-up. They get on top of you in your list. You fail your slippery scumbag, and they kill it, right? And it's a big problem, and right. So yeah, that's so. I mean, and that's fine, right? Like that's because it is a dice game, so that is expected, right?
You have to know that I would have ended up in finals if I didn't do a mistake. It's not about the dice roll or anything.
Sure.
It's just I've talked about banishing manifestation of my opponent in the semifinals. And once I've chosen my tactic and began the turn, I forgot to banish the manifestation. So I would have freed my jaws, and I could have charged the OBR thing.
Yeah.
Don't have the name. The Morghast. I could have charged it and kill it. Since I didn't banish, I couldn't charge it and I couldn't kill it.
That's unfortunate.
And I lost the game.
Yeah, that happens, right? Like, people were also commenting on your Kragnos, on the actual model itself, and it's quite a nice model. People really like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have it on screen right now, but you removed the apes from the monster killers and replaced them with these little, like they're like little Nash tooths, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they have little helmets on them. They're adorable. Where did you get these guys from? Are they 3D printed, or are they from another kit, or where'd they come from?
No. Those hounds are Groots from 40k.
Sorry, what are they again? Can you say that one more time?
The models from the Toes and Groots thing.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
I'm pronouncing it well. I've just wanted them to be a little more personalized.
Sure.
And I've just put helmets on them.
Yeah, well, the helmets are awesome.
In fact, I had those 2 units of Monster Killers, and for a previous tournament where I was playing 4 units of Monster Killers, I had to do some conversion using the Underworld models, because I don't play Underworld.
Yeah, I have the same.
And they are not
same thing.
available anymore in Age of Sigmar. So I made quite a few conversions and just used those doggies as apes, and they ended up fitting so well in the army that I've preferred them to the apes.
Yeah, they look great. Like, I think they're cool. Lots of people were commenting on it and thought it was pretty neat. I mean, if you're going to Worlds, I can understand why you would put a lot of effort and time into making sure that everything was, painted up really well and individualized. And
you have to know, a month before the Worlds, I took back all my army and did a lot of changes a lot of highlights and a lot of efforts to have the army be a little more, a little better, a little more good looking.
Well, it's a good thing that you did because you did so well, right? That lots of people are watching and lots of people were seeing your stuff. So that's
Yes.
it's pretty good. It's fantastic. Is there anything else about the army, like how to play it, or about resources or lists or anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to mention?
Mm. What I will say is about the building the list, because some people will just take my list and will try it like from what's already done,
Yeah, that's what I'm doing
and
tonight.
then it it might be, yes, but for some people with less experience, it might be difficult to take it in hand. Because it fits my play style, and I have made the list, and it's not an easy list to play. I think
I would agree with you there. I definitely agree. It's not a beginner friendly list. There's a lot of auras, there's a lot of moving pieces, absolutely.
yes.
Yeah.
Uh, for the people, I think you might want to do uh, the the different tests that I have done to come from a standard list to this list. So maybe just use the sludge wrecker at the beginning to have your gut pass with maybe Kragnos and with the Marshcrawler, and have an impact, and just choose when to attack, when to not attack, and everything. Then remove one, remove the other, test with the birdie or not, and try to understand why this list is made, and not just
Sure.
taking the models and putting them on the table just like that.
Yes, because you're right.
Because
Yeah.
I got plenty of games of AOS now. Most of them were in third, but that's only like 18 months that I'm playing like very competitively. And uh, I have been able to play some very easy armies. This is none of them. This is not in the easy to play army.
It's
Uh,
absolutely not, no.
there are some ways to play Kruleboyz that are easier. And if you're not experienced, just go for some easier ways. They are maybe less effective. Maybe you will have harder times to win your game, but you will have better time to understand some of the play. And from that, you will be able to modify your list with what you buy and what you paint and everything, until you get uh, to be able to pilot something a bit more difficult.
Yeah, this is a good list to play a few games in Tabletop Simulator with as well.
Yes.
Anything that has auras, like in Tabletop Simulator when you can actually see the auras, you know,
Mm.
I find it helps a lot. And then when it's on the table, you have a better sense of how big those auras are. So
Mm-mm.
it just makes it makes the decisions a lot easier to make, for sure.
Mm-mm.
Okay, cool. Well, I really appreciate
Um,
you taking the time to talk with me today. It's been fun. I always like to, again. It's like it blew my mind. I'm like, why is this guy 6-0 in Worlds with the Kragnos playing Kruleboyz? I don't understand. And then I thought about it for a while, right? And then I was like, oh, that it makes sense. Like it is scary, that we can run in 3d6 charge, right? Like Gut Rippers can move 11 inches and then charge 10 inches, right? Like it's a lot of space. So
mm.
yeah, thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.